And hello to everyone watching. My name is Krazy Dom, and I just completed 4 days of enjoying Boston, Massachusetts. Man, there's a lot to say about this place. Well, as you can tell by my tone of voice, Boston was a lot of fun. I went to Fenway Park for Game 2, ALDS 2018. Unfortunately, the Sox did not win that game. Otherwise, I would have recorded, hopefully, what I thought would have been Cramble getting save 2 of the series, but that didn't happen. But Fenway was amazing. I had amazing seats. I was about 20, 30 rows behind home plate. It was still a great section. Also, big shout out to UFC Gym in the Financial District. You guys were awesome. Thank you for training with you. You kept me in good shape. I walked around pretty much the whole city and got to see different landscapes, different cultures of Boston, Massachusetts. It was very interesting to say the least. They love their parks, Boston Commons, Boston Gardens, and the Walkway were beautiful. And I really recommend being here. There's a lot of rich history in Boston, a lot of statues and monuments. I didn't go to TND Coliseum because the Celtics are not playing yet, and I didn't get to see the Patriots game because I didn't know they were playing Thursday, and it was preseason anyway. Best way to describe the people of Boston, there's a lot of them, but there is enough within a reasonable amount where everyone has their, I guess you can say their conformity. Meaning that they bond to each other like they're one and the same. Now, if let's just say someone else reviews Boston, let's say someone from Albuquerque, New Mexico, let's say, which is a spot that I will be traveling to next, hopefully, but they're going to have a different point of view of it than I will. Because I was born and raised in New York, the southern part of New York, Long Island, and I've been to New York City many times. And the one thing about Boston is that growing up where I grew up, it's hard to give my review without comparing it to New York. Because there are a lot of similarities. Now, that could be a really good thing because Boston is a major city. It takes a long time to see everything once. Very long, more than 4 days. I couldn't get to do everything. I couldn't, even though I bar hopped, I hopped around place to place. There's still something where you're going to miss out on because there's that much. But just like New York, because it is a major city within the Northeast, if you've already lived in the New York City area, tri-state, going to Boston may have that, city-like feel that you're familiar with. But if you're looking for something completely different, like you really want to see something new that you don't you can have in the New York City area, but different culture, so much different that it's just a long way from home. You're not going to get that with Boston. There were times where I have gone to certain areas where I was like, this is just like New York. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't something where I was just wowed by, like, oh, this is something unique. No. But at the same time, it did have that balance where, there were certain areas where, because it's not as hectic as New York City, that even in the district, you can find a low-key area where everything was very relaxed, and I got to meet someone. He was a cool guy. We shared our stories. We had some beer together. And, we parted ways. And that's something you don't get in New York City, because New York City just has that many people in it. Everyone's on the move. Everyone is trying to accomplish something for themselves so much. They don't have time to step back like that. So at least Boston does have that going for it. You know the old saying, barbershop talk? Well, I had some barbershop talk. I went to a barbershop, got my face shaved up. As you can see, it's growing back. This was like 4 days ago they shaved it up. But yeah, man, the locals, when you ask them, hey, what's there to do here? It wasn't just me and the barber talking. When you stir up that kind of conversation, it just seemed like 3 or 4 barbers like joined in, and you just like saw what you saw in the movies, that barbershop conversation. So big city, beautiful city, loved it. It's just a shame that it just many times it does feel a little too much like New York. But then again, that New York is a beautiful place, and almost being like New York is what makes Boston beautiful. It's a big city, but not too hectic, where, unlike New York, where it's just like everyone's doing something, it's not hard to slow down and take a step back and get to meet someone. If there's really only a few complaints I had about Boston, is that, now again, I didn't get to go to any New England Patriot game or any Boston Celtic game, but I did go to Fenway Game 2. Shame that the Red Sox didn't win. I was rooting for them. But there is no mass transit to Fenway. Yankee Stadium, Citi Field, the subway, you take it right to the stadium. Within 5 minutes, you're at the stadium from the subway. Boston doesn't have that. So it's very, 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 very hectic. It's a madhouse trying to get any kind of transportation from Fenway. I actually had to walk 1.5 miles before traffic was slowed down enough for me to safely get an Uber to get back to my truck. What else? I just alluded to the similarities to New York. A little too similar to New York. So it's not entirely different if you're looking for something different. Big warning. Very, very big warning. And Uber is horrible here. It is super overpriced if you want to drive solo and get somewhere within a reasonable time. Otherwise, you have to carpool with about 3 different people who all have to get to their stops before you. And that means a 30-minute trip becomes a 2-hour trip. I was really pissed. Thankfully, I didn't miss out on anything. But Uber's terrible. It's overpriced. If you want to go solo, you have to wait a long time if you want to do the cheaper way. And worst part, many, 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 many drivers don't know English. They're just going by the GPSs on their phone. They don't know how to read the signs. It's horrible. I probably got along with maybe 2, maybe 3 drivers tops. The rest, it was a nightmare. So be wary of Uber around here. So that is my review of Boston, Mass. If you can get over the fact that if you are from New York City, it's not exactly the most different place to go to. If you can get over the fact that Uber is just horrible here, it is definitely worth the visit. I recommend it. Please, 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 if you got the money, visit Boston, Massachusetts.